You are watching the Unconfirmed Diegesis, where the stories are told, the claims are documented, and the truth is often buried beneath layers of secrecy. Tonight's case is not just about extraterrestrials. It is about what happens when someone claims to have seen too much. This is the story of Phil Schneider, a man who stepped forward in the mid-1990s with explosive allegations about underground bases, alien encounters, and hidden government programs, and a man whose life ended under circumstances that some believe were anything but ordinary. This story is being presented to you for your entertainment. As with all stories presented here, we leave it up to you to decide. Believe it or not, it's up to you. The man who dared to come forward. In 1995, Phil Schneider began appearing at conferences and small lecture halls across the United States. His message was direct. The government is hiding something massive. According to Phil, he had worked as a geological and structural engineer involved in the construction of deep underground military bases, often referred to as DUMBs. These were no ordinary facilities. He described vast, hidden complexes built miles beneath the Earth's surface, connected by high-speed tunnel systems, powered by advanced technologies, and shielded from public knowledge. Among them, one location stood out above all others, an alleged underground installation near Dulce, New Mexico. According to Phil Schneider, everything changed in 1979. He claimed he was part of a team assigned to drill deep underground near Dulce, New Mexico, preparing the foundation for what he described as another classified subterranean facility. The operation, he said, followed standard procedure: drill down, stabilize the shaft, prepare for construction, but at a certain depth, something unexpected happened. Schneider claimed the drill suddenly broke through into a vast open cavern, far larger than anything they had mapped. A foul odor emitted from the newly drilled hole. At first, he thought it was a natural formation, so he agreed to go down into the shaft to investigate. At this point, Phil began to suspect something was not quite right when his escorts, more than 60 in number, showed up with heavy armory. They seemed to know they were not going to be alone. Schneider described descending into the cavern to assess the space. What he claimed to have seen next would become the core of his story. He reported encountering tall, humanoid beings, entities he later described as resembling what are commonly called greys. According to Schneider, the beings were not surprised. They were already established, already operating, as if the humans had unknowingly entered their domain and were waiting for them with their own soldiers. What followed was immediate and hostile. Schneider claimed he shot one of the entities with a pistol he had in his pocket and killed it. Another entity emitted a form of energy, something he described as a directed blue-white beam striking him in the chest. The force threw him backward and caused severe internal injuries and blew off several of his fingers. In the chaos that followed, Schneider claimed that armed military personnel engaged the entities. It was not a brief exchange, but a sustained firefight deep underground. Weapons from both sides discharged in confined tunnels. The energy-based attacks from the entities inflicted heavy casualties. Approximately 60 personnel were killed during the encounter, including military and technical staff. He only survived the firefight because he was pulled to safety by a military man who put him and 2 other wounded men on the lift and sent it up. The brave man lost his life in the process. Phil often showed his battle wounds to the audience in his lectures to help validate his story. He also often referred to the individual who saved him at the cost of his own. Phil lost several fingers due to the encounter. He suffered chest injuries from the energy blast. He experienced long-term health effects he attributed to radiation or exotic weapon exposure to him. These were not abstract claims. They were deep physical reminders of what he said happened beneath the surface. Following the incident, Schneider claimed the entire operation was immediately classified. Any survivors were allegedly sworn to secrecy, records were sealed, and the event was never acknowledged publicly. He stated that what they had encountered was not an isolated presence, but part of a much larger underground system already in place, a system that had been active long before the drilling began. But Phil Schneider's claims did not stop there. He alleged that the US government had been in contact with non-human entities since at least the 1950s. According to him, agreements had been made, technology would be exchanged, access to humans would be granted, and in return certain activities would be allowed to continue, far from public view. He tied these claims to secret programs funded through what he described as black budget operations, vast sums of money allegedly hidden within classified government spending. Programs, he claimed, operated without oversight, without accountability, and without public knowledge. As Schneider continued his speaking engagements, his messages grew more urgent. He warned of a global system of control, what he referred to as a new world order. He claimed that underground facilities, advanced technologies, and hidden alliances were all part of a larger framework shaping world events behind the scenes. To some, his lectures sounded like a man revealing classified truths. Researchers who attempted to verify his background found little documented evidence confirming his employment in the roles he described. No official records tied him directly to the projects he claimed to have worked on. This is not surprising, and yet, his story continues to spread long after his death. On January 17, 1996, Phil Schneider was found dead in his apartment in Wilsonville, Oregon. The official ruling by the coroner was suicide, case closed. But not for everyone. Those close to Schneider, and many who followed his work, pointed to what they believed were unusual circumstances surrounding his death. They claimed personal documents and materials were missing. The scene seemed staged, raising unanswered questions. And Schneider himself had reportedly expressed fear for his safety in the months leading up to his death, stating, "If I should suddenly die, I am not suicidal." People Phil knew suddenly and mysteriously died. He even said he was run off the road by an unmarked car, none of which seemed very important to the authorities. The timing of his strange death, coming after months of public lectures and increasingly bold claims, has fueled speculation ever since. Phil's story refuses to disappear to this day. He was not silenced. The story of Phil Schneider continues to circulate. His lectures are still shared. His claims are still debated. He was one of the first whistleblowers to begin tying everything together, and his name remains closely tied to underground bases, government secrecy, and alleged extraterrestrial contact. His story remains an unresolved question. Was Phil Schneider revealing hidden truths about underground operations and non-human encounters, or was his story built on misinterpretation, belief, or something else entirely? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, if there was nothing to hide, why does the story still feel unfinished? Because the Schneider case sits in that uncertain space, we at the Unconfirmed Diegesis do not claim to have the answers. As always, we examine each case with careful thought. We follow the evidence, where it exists, going to wherever it may take us. The case has been presented. The details are on record. The rest is up to you. Thank you for watching the Unconfirmed Diegesis. If you have enjoyed this story, like and subscribe so you won't miss the next time we dive into the unconfirmed.